For us to work the lesson practice problems. And what we need to do is use the diagram over here to answer the first few questions. And this is going to be very common with these triangle problems, that we'll be looking at a diagram and answering questions about the diagram. Letter A, which triangle is obtuse? Why, it's the one that has an obtuse angle. That has to be triangle UVW. Now, normally I draw a little triangle symbol and then UVW. Here I'm just going to state triangle UVW. Okay, let's go on to letter B. Which triangle is acute? Well, that's obvious. That's triangle XYZ is the acute one. All of the angles in that triangle are acute. Letter C. Which triangle is right isosceles? Well, I see that RST is right as a right angle. Is it also isosceles? Let's see, an isosceles triangle has two sides that are the same length. Well, these two sides are congruent here, and that means that this is an isosceles triangle. Remember, an isosceles triangle actually has at least two sides. These have two sides that are the same length. These are isosceles. So RST triangle, I should write, triangle RST is a right isosceles triangle. Letter D, are any of these triangles scalene? Yes. XYZ is scalene. No two sides are equal. Down here, this is isosceles. These two sides are equal. This is isosceles. These two sides are equal. There are no equal sides in the small triangle, so it is scalene. All right, moving on. Letter E. A right isosceles triangle has legs measuring 13.2 centimeters and a hypotenuse measuring 18.7 centimeters. What is its perimeter? Well, that's simple, because when we're asking about perimeter, it's just going to be 13.2 centimeters plus its right isosceles. It must have two legs that are the same length. And it's right, but the two legs that are the same length are the legs 13.2 and 13.2. It couldn't be the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse is a different length from the legs. And then, because that has to be the longest, right? Hypotenuse is 18.7 centimeters. I think I can do this one in my head. 13.2 plus 13.2 is 26.4, plus 0.7 is 27.1, plus 18 is, let's see, 35.1, 45.1. So it's going to be 45.1 centimeters based on the numbers that are there. Letter F, what is the area of the triangle in part E? This is a much harder question that requires a calculator. For this one, I have to think about my triangle, and I have to think about what sides are the legs and where is the altitude of this triangle. Well, wait a second. Now, if I use the hypotenuse as the base, that is going to make this really hard, because I need to figure out a side length that is perpendicular to hypotenuse. But if I make one of my two legs of the right triangle the base, then this answer is simply going to be the leg times, and in this case, the two legs have the same length. So it's going to be the leg times the other leg divided by 2. So to do that, I'm just going to get a calculator here, and I'm going to do 13.2 times 13.2 divided by 2 gives me 87.12 centimeters squared. All right, next problem type. We're looking for G. A golf course is planned for the plot of land shown on the right. How much boundary fencing is required to surround the plot? Why, that is a perimeter question. The perimeter is just going to be the three sides plus each other. 766 plus 987 plus 1,254. So if I do that math, again, I'm going to use a calculator here. 766 plus, not times, plus 987 plus 1254. That gives me 3,007 yards. 3,007 yards. All right, letter H. This one is a little hard. Not really, but kinda. Grass sod is needed for 95% of the area of the golf course shown. What area of sod is needed rounded to the nearest square yard. Grass sod is needed. All right, so what I need to do is find a base times a height. I don't know that this is a right angle here, although it looks like it might be a right triangle. Actually, now that I look at it again, it looks a little off. But I do know that this is, if I choose this as a base, then I have a line with one endpoint on the line containing the base and the other endpoint on the opposite vertex. This is the height. So for this one, I'm going to do 1254 times 603 divided by 2. And that's going to give me my area. I'm not quite done yet, but that's where I'm going to start. 1254 times 603 divided by 2, 378,081. 378,081. Now that number seems so large, I'm just going to double check. 1254 times 603. Whoa. 1254 times 603. I wonder if I... Oh, and then divided by 2. I forgot to divide by 2. 378,081 is correct. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I was doing it correctly. All right. And then the next thing I'm going to do, though, is I have to note only 95% of this area needs to be covered by grass seeds. What am I going to do? I'm going to multiply this times 0.95. And that'll give me the 95% of that area that needs to be covered in sod. I keep saying seed, grass sod. So take my number times 0.95 is the same as multiplying by 95%, and I get 359,177 square yards need to be covered in sod.